Good morning and welcome to Family Life, a Catholic Vision. Well, it's a new year, so Happy New Year. It's good that you're still with us. On set today, well, I'm Tricia Syms from the Family Life Commission. And on set today, we have with us a couple of guests. Well, not more than a couple. Well, we have Mrs. Dinna Bainey, who works out of the office of the Archbishop. We have Jean-Marie Garcia and Adele, Eugene, and they're both participants of the Virtus Protecting God's Children program. There are also two program assistants with the Family Life Commission. So we are happy to have you on with us. Thank you for joining us today. So today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, Virtus Protecting God's Children, and why we need to protect children in general. So let's get right into it. So we have been running the Virtus program since 2011. And it has been mandatory since then, but now it has picked up it's going on a different pace at this time. So a little bit about the Virtus program. I'm going to ask the team to join in as we discuss the Virtus. So what is the Virtus Protecting God's Children program?
Well, Virtus, before we start, Virtus is a Latin word that means valor, moral strength, excellence, self-worth. Virtus came into being. It's a US-based organization, the National Catholic Risk Retention Organization. And it was necessary for us to adopt what Virtus is doing here in Trinidad and in the Archdiocese. It helps us, it provide guidelines for us how to protect our children, and especially in our church where so many children are involved in all sorts of programs in the churches and the parishes, that it has become extremely necessary to know and to educate our adults how to protect our children.
Good. So it was established in 1998 with a team of experts, psychologists, lawyers, and so on, parents, and so on, you know, as to how it is we can go about protecting children. Is there a way that we can teach adults about preventing child sexual abuse? So, Jean-Marie, can you tell us a little bit about the Protecting God's Children program?
So the program, it's an awareness program. So it's educational. You learn about some of the warning signs that you must look out for with children, interaction with adults. You learn about when these situations can happen. It could happen at any time with anyone. You know, perpetrators can take any form and they don't look a certain way. They could be anybody. You also learn how you can deal with these situations when they come up, you know, who to report to, and what you can do in your strength. 'Cause a lot of people feel like they don't know what to do. Should I go to the police, whatever? And so the program kind of explains what steps you can take to address a situation like that.
Okay, Adele, would you like to share anything else there?
In adding to what John said, it's also an eye-opener. It encourages conversation pertaining to some very sensitive topics that the program does cover when in those training programs, and that makes it a common ground where you can actually sit with a child, an adult on child conversation, and create an open enough environment with that child, and it makes you aware enough to deal with the issues as they come forward.
So that Virtus is really proactive and reactive. The proactive part of it is that you are aware. If you see anything suspicious, you know what to do. Report it to a supervisor, report it to your priest, report it directly to the Archbishop's office. And there's also an email address. If you feel not comfortable about it, you can send in an email to Protecting Children at abpos.org. It's also reactive because if something happens, you know, you will be aware of the procedure, how you report it, how you deal with the allegations.
Okay, so it's both an education and an awareness program. So we have been doing Virtus, as I said, for the past, well, this year will be 8 to 9 years that we have been running the program. When we first started, I remember well, it was, as I said, it was always mandatory, but people came trickling in. Or people didn't want to come, and they came. And I think that happens even more, it happens now, but not as much as it did then. Now, why should somebody attend a Virtus program? Why should persons attend the Virtus Protecting God's Children program? What is their role in attending?
Well, if a child comes to them, they must be aware of what to do. First, they have to gain the confidence of the child. They have to tell the child that, you know, I believe you. I trust what you're telling me. What you're telling me is safe. But if your life is in danger, your being is in danger, that you must know that I have to report it, you know. Sometimes the child may not want to confide, but oftentimes they eventually do. And so it's very important for all adults who interact with children, who are in the vicinity where children participate in programs, that they know exactly what to do. Even if you have suspicions, I would advise that you document. So today I saw certain things, and I keep looking, and if it's happening a little too often, then I know I have documented and I can bring it forward. Some people are afraid to bring it forward because, you know, they feel that it will interfere with their relationship with the person or with the parish community. Wherever they work, you know, with children, they will have that fear. So basically, that's why I feel that, you know, adults need to know exactly how to handle situations like this.
Okay. And what are some other target audiences that we need to, that should do the program?
It's for everyone, really, above the age of 18, of course, so all adults. I feel like the program is very important right now because with the rise of, on social media, there's so many things being exposed regarding children being sexually abused within the church, schools, etc. So with the rise of social media and people now seeing this information everywhere, a lot of people have a lot of questions now, you know, and, you know, their child might be at risk and they feel like, you know, what does the church have to say about this? You know, we need to hear more about this in the church. And I think that's why the Virtus program is really important, especially right now, because a lot of things are going on and have been going on, but now that it's in the light, the church is getting painted in a bad way, and we just want to become more informed and find out what can we do or what is being done. So, yeah.
And all adults are protectors of children. Well, should
Right.
be anyway. You know, we run this program in collaboration with the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. And recently we had 2 sessions, and I remember they were talking about while it happens in the church, it happens in society at large. And they were talking about parents are the ones who are abusing their children the most. Now, they looked at different categories of abuse, but parents need to know this information because I think a lot of times parents don't have the skills, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't know that what they're doing may be harming their child as opposed to protecting their child or children. Adele, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, this program, from being a participant in it, what I've come to realize is that it serves also as a forum. So as Jean said earlier, everybody has questions. Everybody has questions, and the program allows you to ask those questions, and the answers are actually provided to you. All the necessary information is provided. So in being in a society where we are so open, our cultures are so diverse, it forms this basis where you could actually be in one area and there is no judgment when questions are asked. Questions are answered simply, and the awareness is actually immense.
So I wanted to say, I think we need to say exactly who should be involved in this program in the country, in the church. The program is open to everyone. And so I need
18 and over.
18 and over adults. It's for clergy, it's for religious, it's for staff, it is for parents, it is for volunteers, teachers also, educators. So I think it's very important to state the category of people who should participate in this program.
And I'm happy that you raised that, Dinna, because it's not just educators, but all persons, you know, ancillary staff, even the janitor, because they are involved with the children as well. So schools are a big part, you know, at the programs we had over the last 2 weekends. We had several principals, you know, asking about how can we get this in the school. So it's being done on a phase-by-phase basis in terms of reaching adults to educate them and make them aware as to, you know, how abuse affects children. Sometimes, you know, it may have happened very, very small. I remember one of our psychologists saying over the weekend, you know, she had a 70-year-old client who was abused when she was 10 years, and how it's still impacting her at 70 years. You know, how, you know, that's abuse, you know, the pain of abuse is something that's serious, and as a church, as the Archdiocese of Port of Spain, as the Catholic Church, you know, we have to do what we can. It is happening in the church as well. Let's not close our eyes and think it's not happening here, but I think we can't lose hope. You know, last night when I was preparing for this program, I thought I would invite Jan, and maybe I put her on the spot, but not right now. You know, I thought of this song, Jesus Loves the Little Children. Now, I'm no singer, but I know Jan is. So sometime during this program, Jan, I'm going to ask you if you can sing that song. You know that song, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Adele, you know that song too?
Yeah.
Right. Dinna, you know
I know
that
bits
song?
of it.
You know bits of it, right. So well, I am not going to sing. I can call the words. But, you know, Jesus loves the little children, and as church, we have a responsibility, those of us who are in the church, to protect the children. It hasn't happened all the time, and for that we are sorry, but you know, we have to keep the hope alive, and we have to keep wanting a better place, a safer place for our children. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think there are certain things that must be done. So parents drop, I'm just going to deal with one part that I know, you know, I feel I need to deal with. Parents drop off their children for, let's say, confirmation classes. And so you drop them off at the churchyard and you drive off. So you are not aware whether your child attended class. You are coming back and you're picking up your child right there, okay? I know of several cases where parents dropped children off and they went elsewhere. So that the tightening up of attendance, I think it's important that notes are given, forms are filled out. We need to structure this thing properly so that in their registration, parents should say, in the event that I cannot pick up or in the event that I cannot drop, so-and-so person will be dropping and picking up my child. I feel IDs, suppose, and photographs should be submitted as well of who these people are. I find that whole situation with teenagers is a little too loose, and those kinds of things have to. I feel that if they cannot attend classes, that an excuse should be given, so that the catechist will know, well, so this person is not coming. And I don't know if a phone call is good enough, because anybody could be on a phone and call somebody, unless you know the parents intimately and that you can recognize a voice, you know. So I feel we have to be, I know it's tedious, but that's how we're going to protect children, you know, especially our young ones, the teenagers especially. And not only teenagers, you remember they're coming for First Communion classes as well. So I think those kinds of systems must be put in place just for accountability.
You know, I remember when I was in confirmation program, which is many years ago. You know, we didn't have that you drop off. No. And you pick up, your parents drop you off, or you walked. Where I live, we could have walked to the church where confirmation was being held. But now people are being dropped off. You know, just yesterday someone said to me, when they went to pick up their child, now in that particular group, they wear jerseys. The young people wear jerseys. And he said when he went to pick up his child, one person was taking off their jersey. Like I don't want to, class is over and I'm going my own way now, but let me take off this jersey so that I wouldn't be easily identified or identifiable. So, we have to do little, you may be wondering, what can I do? A simple thing, like if you drop your child off to class, what is it? You're getting to know the teacher. You as a parents, we have a responsibility as well. You get to know the confirmation catechist, not only when they have parents meeting and not only confirmation day, but ongoing. You are free to make an appearance, to ask a question of the catechist, of the parish priest, or whoever is responsible for that class. Now, when we do the Virtus, run the Virtus program, it takes a particular structure. What's that structure like? If I want to sign up for a Virtus program, what's the first thing I need to do? What's the first thing?
You have to pre-register online. And then...
So online where?
So you have to go to the AFLC RC website,
.org.
So AFLCRC.org,
right? That's the Family Life Commission website. And you scroll down to the bottom and you should see
Virtus, Protecting God's Children.
Find out more about Virtus, Protecting God's Children program, right?
Click that and another page would open up with the Virtus registration. And there you sign up for Virtus.
Right. So when you say sign up, what do you mean? Adele, what do you mean by sign up?
You put in all the necessary information that would require you to register and complete the registration. As well, if you do run into issues with registering online, you are free to call the office and we will walk you through that process because there is some information regarding your address and so on that you would need in order to actually register for that program. And there will also be the venues at which the program will be taught next, so you could sign up for the program that you'll be available for.
Right, so that sounds like a lot, and you may be wondering, all of that? The first thing you need to do, you need to go onto our website, aflcrc.org, and as you scroll down the page, find out more about the Virtus program. If you're a first-time registrant, then you click on first-time registrant on the Virtus page. Now, on that page, they're going to ask you for particular information. So you need to contact us either by phone, WhatsApp, or email. So our phone number, 299-1047, and that's also a WhatsApp number. And it's our office number as well is 672-4280. Our email address is familylife.commission@gmail.com. So that's the first step. So now you're online and you're registered. You're selected. We have a couple of programs coming up in February. February the 16th, we have a program at Chaguanas, Max Murphy Hall in Chaguanas. So now you have arrived at the venue. So what happens next?
Okay, so next you proceed to the registration desk, right? Where they would ask you if you registered online or if you did not. And if you registered online, you will just sign a form. There will be a list of names for the online registrants. You just put your signature there so we know you're present. For those who did not get to register online, you just have to sign in your name and fill in like a few boxes. And then you're given your package, which looks like this. Something like this. And inside it has handouts and paper where you can fill out answer questions and different information in there about the videos and so on.
Right, so just hold a minute. So when you get to the venue, now you will be thinking, oh, I don't have to register online. I can just walk in.
Please.
You need to register online, and I'll tell you why. Online registration is where your certificate, you're able to access your certificate. And many parishes are asking for that certificate now. They want to know that you have done the program. If you would like to teach any of the faith formation programs, you need to do the program. Whether you're a teacher in a school or work in a school in any capacity, you need to do the program. Whether you're a catechist of any form, RCIA, confirmation, first communion, baptism, you need to do the program. Any way that you're involved in the church and you altar servers, if you're responsible for altar servers, and you need to do the program. Parents, I don't have to tell you, you need to do the program as well, because you need to know. So online registration affords you that space where you can get your online certificate and ongoing education. Now, who would like to tell us about ongoing education? Why we need this ongoing education?
Well, you need to keep up to date.
Yes.
Like everything that we do today, we have to keep abreast with the new trends, with the new research that comes out, and keep you up to date, because if you don't, eventually you're going to forget. You will lose track of, you know, what is supposed to happen, and when you're online, you can do that by going into the Virtus website, and you're alerted by email anyway of new articles that come out, new training articles, and you go into the training icon, bulletin, and you read the document that they have there and answer a few questions, and that's all it takes. It's not you know, science really. It's simple reading, and just to make sure that you understand what is happening in terms of, you know, treating with sexual abuse.
Right. And we need to be retrained. We need ongoing education in any profession that's worth anything. You need to be, you need to keep up to date with the trends, with the different things that are being put out there regarding issues. And in this case, we're talking about the Virtus Protecting God's Children, how we can create safe environments for children, not only in our homes, in the church, in our parishes, all in different environments that we find ourselves. We need to, you know, find a way to create safe spaces for children. So now that you've signed in, you have your package and we're ready to go. The program is about to start. Now what happens? Tell us what happens in the first, so you tell me the structure of the program, you know, so they have already signed in, and what's next?
We pray.
We pray. That's very important.
We pray.
Yes, pray. You know, because we cannot lose hope. We need to pray.
Yeah. And there will be a brief introduction by the person hosting the program for the day. And then we go into the very first video, informative video pretty much. And that session is important because one aspect of this program is that we're not only educating ourselves, but we need to educate ourselves in a manner that we educate our children, that they're responsible for each other. So this video, helps you with that aspect, and it's as well they speak with particular people who have been abused and the abusers. So that gives you not just a one-sided view of what happens in situations like this, but two-sided, and that builds more of an awareness for you.
Right. So we look at, in that first video, A Time to Protect God's Children is what it's called. So we ask participants, what emotions it stirred within them, and would you like to share some of them? When you looked at it, what were some of the emotions that it stirred within you?
I remember when I first did Virtus some years ago. I think it was about 5 years ago, and I attended a session in Laramie, and after looking at the video, I was shocked, disbelief. But I should say that when the whole thing about clergy abuse started to really hit us, even though we were getting snippets from the media, it's only with the advent of the social media that it really had an impact. And I remember my disbelief, the shock, the anger, the sadness, because as a former principal, I came across some of these things, and I suppose that sort of prepared me to, for handling situations, so that now when I have to face that, it's almost as though it's clinical. You just deal with it. But coming back to that session, and I remember after the videos and so on, people actually got up and shared their experiences, their personal experiences, and I really sat there in admiration. But these are not young people. These are mature adults, grandmothers, who were now sharing their experiences, you know, what happened to them, how they felt. And the people who abused them were their relatives, you know, and it was really, really sad. I mean, it opened up a whole new dimension for me. I was, you know, I sat there in awe, actually. I remember that it had a profound effect on me.
And Jan, would you like to share how it impacted you after looking at the first video?
The first video, I don't want to say a shock because, you know, we've seen these things in the media, but it was disturbing in a way that it kind of hit you like, wow, this really is happening all around the world, and it could even be happening right under our noses, in our churches, in our schools, at work, whatever.
In our homes.
In our homes. And so it was a little disturbing seeing the video, seeing some of the children talking about their stories, and even hearing from the abusers, you know, their perspective, and, you know, how they just wanted to show love or some sort of thing like that. It was very disturbing to see that, but also it was good to be open to the fact that this is going on and just be aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Adele?
Really and truly, I think there's this vulnerability in you that comes to the surface, and the eye-opener in the first portion of the session, really and truly, is that it doesn't matter if you're male or female, any and everybody can actually be abused. The abuser as well can be either male or female, and that gets to you. That scratches a surface on you. That's like, okay, maybe we're not all safe. We're all vulnerable in some sense. So that sort of that gets to you. That touches you. Yeah.
So in the first video, you know, it includes awareness of the many ways that sexual abuse harms its victims, their families, and the parish, and the community at large. So in that first video, you're not required to share anything if you don't want to. Some people come forward and share, but you will not be required to share. So don't think, well, I'm not going to that, I'm not going to talk my business. It's not about that. They are sharing their experiences as to how it impacted them and what happened at the session that they attended. But it's really we need to make people aware of the abuser, or who this abuser is, and the effect that it has on children, because, you know, we are about protecting children. So can you remember, you know, who is the abuser, who is the molester? You know, who could the molester be?
Sorry. It could be a camp counselor, it could be neighbor, it can be your mother, grandfather, stepfather, family friend. You know.
It could be you.
It could be you. It could be anybody.
Well, the molester can be anybody, as you say, and they don't have a look.
Right.
You know, sometimes when you hear people who are molested, you can't believe it because they don't look like that. They don't look like a pervert, you know. Molesters seek out children. You know, they're very friendly with them. They always want to be in their company. They would let them do things that their own parents wouldn't allow the child to do, you know. So it's easy to befriend the child, you know. Sometimes they use their own children to get close to their children's friends, you know. And it's like a form of sexual grooming, because it's over time that they win trust. And then eventually they pounce. You know.
And you know, that over time, that patience, I think one of the things that struck me in the videos was that the time that the abuser would take to befriend this child. And you know, they said the children needed attention. And a lot of times, our children may be misbehaving in one, doing one thing over the next, and, we getting frustrated. But the abuser, the molester, they take the time to understand. They have that listening ear. And you can say that could be anybody. Anybody, can take that time to have that listening ear. I also remember about the abuser. They like to be around children. Now, you may say everybody likes to, children are there to be, you like to be around children. But sometimes they have that special interest in children because we don't want to give off the communication that we have to keep our hands off approach to children. Children need love and attention, but I think we need to teach children about the boundaries and so on. Now, I know we are midway through the program, and we wanted to show one of the parenting programs that we offer, Common Sense Parenting. So maybe we can show, we have one of those sessions coming up in Maracas Valley in the next couple of weeks. So maybe we can show that ad now as we take a little break.
So some of the things, some of the skills I would have known from before, but there were some little things that I think kind of stood out for me, where we would have looked at looking at the child reasons again, understanding that positive words kind of help children to do what they need to do as opposed to the negative words that will shut them down. Actually doing the skills and seeing the benefits of it and seeing some of the things that you thought you kind of took for granted, I was happy when I saw some of those changes. So for me, this is a program that I will sell because I have seen the rewards in my own children.
So welcome back. We are in Family Life, a Catholic Vision. Today we are talking about Virtus, protecting God's children. So Jesus talked about Jesus loved the little children. So remember, we're going to put Jan on the spot. But I don't have a singing voice. I will not be singing in this mic. So maybe we can, Jan, would you like to lead us off? Jesus loves the little children. And that's our prayer today, as we sing this song.
Okay, I invite you all to join in with me. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Thank you very much. Right, so Jesus loves the little children, and even though, we're singing it and smiling, and so this is a serious issue, and Jesus loves us, and he loves the little children, and that's why it is we want to protect them. So we want to go into the second video when we talk about a plan to protect God's children. So the first video dealt with a time to protect God's children, and we looked at the abuser and the victim and how it affects the victim and what are some of the traits of the abuser. And in the second video, we look at how there are some steps that we can take to protect the children. So the first step is knowing the warning signs. So what are some warning signs that we as adults can be aware of? What are some of those warning signs? When we're able to identify those warning signs, we are able to, protect the children from any type of further abuse. So some of those warning signs could be
playful, touching, tickling.
They always want to be alone with the children.
Always want to be alone with children.
They get excited about being with the children.
They get excited. No, it's normal and healthy to be, to like children. I think if we didn't like children, that would be something. But when you go overboard, that your best friend is a child, that's a definite, that's a clear sign. Yeah. You said going overboard with tickling and touching. We need to touch our children, but there are some people who go overboard with the tickling and desensitizing children to good touch and bad touch.
And then what also happens is that, I just want to sidetrack a little bit. I remember when I was in school, as a teacher, I saw, the teenagers, it's always a hugging. They go to the confirmation classes, hugging and carrying on, And there's so much of that happening that they got so accustomed to it that sometimes I often wonder if they're inappropriately touched, if they would be able to recognize that, you know. But to come back to one of the warning signs, oftentimes the perpetrator purchases gifts for children without permission, you know. If I often say to parents, if your child comes home with something that, you know, you didn't give them money to purchase, you need to ask where did they get that from, you know. You have to monitor your children and what they come in the house with, especially expensive gifts, you know.
And I know some other things, telling dirty jokes and showing pornography.
Yes, pornography.
Pornography to children. You want to share a little bit more about that, Jan and Adele?
You want to take that on?
Well, they can get it online.
They can get it online on their phones, you know.
Yeah, children are naturally curious. Right. So it just takes one little statement like, have you seen, or do you know, or can I show you, can I teach you? And I think one aspect that ties into that as well is that during the session, we were made aware that some of the perpetrators can get defensive with parents. And it's also one of the warning signs that if you're trying to discipline your child, a perpetrator might step in and take the child's side. So then that creates a bond with the child where the child trusts you, and then you then, so not you, but the perpetrator, then becomes the child's friend, and with becoming the child's friend, they can lure the child to online activities like social media. They could be messaging the child to and from, requesting photos and so on and so forth. They could introduce them to, like you said, pornography sites. It's so simple that all you could do is just send a link to somebody and be like, have you seen this? And without a clue, somebody could open it and actually see what's happening. And without the child being so properly educated on the subject, the child will be curious enough to ask the perpetrator, because that's who they're comfortable with. And perpetrators can take it as far as, let me show you how. So then it's sort of one of the avenues that really needs to be looked at, because it's so simple to tackle and so easy to get into.
You know, on our way down, we were talking about the filters on Instagram. So maybe Jean can share a little bit about that, the filters and the lenses.
So being on social media, that's a very easy place for perpetrators to prey on victims, right? So a lot of people put all their personal information up there. Some people have like open pages, so they're easy to access, location, all these things. And one thing we were discussing was use of filters on Instagram or Snapchat and all these things that kind of changes your appearance, you know. So somebody might take a picture, nobody really takes a picture and just puts it up immediately anymore. Like, you have to put a filter on it.
So what's a filter? Tell us about these filters.
A filter is basically
an editor.
Yeah, so it's when you're editing a picture, you can put a filter on it, which kind of changes or enhances the way the image looks.
Yeah.
So you can make it brighter, darker, give it a certain tone. If it's like blues, greens, black and whites, different stuff. And then with Instagram and Snapchat now, you have lenses, but people call them filters, where it's like the puppy dog and you have the hearts that come up and different stuff that you can do that makes you look really cute. And people put on filters when you take a picture and you post it up. A lot of people put filters on it, and you know, the picture looks nice. And then when you see them in real life, you'll be like, who is that? You can't even. So some people, you know, can change the way they look, appear younger, and so on. And it's very easy to prey on people that way online.
P-R-E-Y. So the second step, so the first step is knowing the warning sign. The second step is controlling who has access to our children. And child molesters need access to children to commit their crimes. And we send a message to potential molesters that we are alert about child sexual abuse when we show that there are ways to control access. So in our confirmation programs, now I know in the church, we are always looking for volunteers. We don't have enough. But we have to put things in place, and I do know in the confirmation program, I know the catechetical office has put together a standardized form with many questions asking, you know, the volunteers need to answer several questions before they can be part. But it's more than just the questions. We need to have face-to-face conversations with persons. We need to do background checks, talk to neighbors. Now, you may be saying all this, but if it is we want to protect children, we have to do all this because the molesters know, the perpetrators know the loopholes in the system. And remember, they want to be around children in order to commit their crimes. So we as a church, we have to put things in place. I know when Archbishop Gilbert was here, in all the new structures that were put up, I know if you were in any particular, in rooms, there's like this little window. So even though it might be a counseling session that's happening, there is, you know, somebody can look in at any time and see what's happening. So, you know, we need to find ways to protect our children by controlling who has access to them. Would you like to share anything on that as we move to session?
I personally think there's a reason why the police force does it upon adding new recruits by doing that general and broad screening. So in that, it's very, very essential that we do look into the background of people.
And I know a lot of employers now are also doing their own background checks, going to people's Facebook, social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter, and finding out, you know, who are you really? Because we may not know the real person until we go online.
Right.
So the third step, we look at monitoring the programs. So effectively monitoring programs eliminates any opportunity for an adult to be alone with a child. So what does monitoring the programs mean? What does that mean in essence, you know?
Well, you know, in some of our parishes, we have secluded areas. There's upstairs and downstairs, you know. And so that it is, we need to have guidelines, protocols for adults to know how they should interact with children, what is appropriate and inappropriate behaviors. If you have to talk to a child, and when I say a child, I don't mean only little ones. I'm talking about everybody who is involved in any program in the church under 18. That a third person be present if you have to be behind closed doors. Okay? The conversations that you have with a child, with the person, the young one, could be in the vicinity of everybody. And if it is something private that you have to deal with, I would suggest that a third person, another adult, be present in the room. Open door policy, there's no need to close doors unless it's something very, very serious. And if it's something very, very serious, I suppose that's where the parish priest will come in. But certainly, you know, and it's protecting yourself as an adult, you know, because you don't want to be accused of anything. So it's important to have that.
Right. And we need to encourage parents. I know a lot of times catechists complain that parents don't want to get involved. You know, even teachers and the schools complain. But we have to find a way to get parents involved. And, you know, that they too see the need and the responsibility of protecting their children. We also talked about making sure computers are located in safe place. Now the computer is in your hand. Right? So parents monitoring what happens on that phone. You know, last week I had a case where, you know, this child was talking to friends that he wasn't supposed to be talking to. You know, we had talked about it, and I said, he told me he had his homework on his phone. So I said, well, bring your phone, let's see that homework. When I go in through WhatsApp, I realized it have people there that we talked about shouldn't be there. And you know, so it's a simple thing like, you bought that phone, mommy, daddy, granny, auntie, guardian, you bought that phone. So the child has it in your presence. It is your responsibility to just randomly, now don't say, tomorrow morning I'm going to check your phone, because they'll delete things. Randomly, we need to bring, you know, ask children to bring their phones. That's our responsibility as parents to do those kinds of things, you know, monitoring phones, checking the history. You know what I mean about history parents? Anyway, that's another program. But you know, ask your children to show you. Step 4, be aware of child and youth behavior. Talk to, listen to, and observe your children if you are to be alert to the subtle signs of possible abuse. And you know, it talks about a sudden change in behavior, moody, or if they become moody or aggressive, if they lose interest in school, or if they stop taking care of their personal hygiene. You know, we need to be aware.
They
so
become
what are some
withdrawn.
ways?
They become withdrawn.
They become withdrawn. Now, these symptoms may be symptoms of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But we need to find a way to keep talking to our children about their body parts. So can you tell us a little bit about that, Jean and Adele? You know, what are some things we need to talk to children about to make them more aware? In terms of their body, their personal hygiene?
Well, they need to be told what is the different kinds of touches.
Yeah.
All right, and they need to know that there are certain body parts that no one is supposed to touch.
So what are those body parts nobody is supposed to touch except to keep them clean? What are some of those body parts?
Okay, vagina,
Vagina, penis, bottom, right, breast.
Chest, breast.
Yes, chest, breast, you know, that we not say parents, in order to keep children clean, you need to go to the doctor and the doctor can examine you there. But recently there was that case last year with the coach, Dr. Nasser, the Olympic coach. Do you remember that case? The Olympic coach in gymnastics. Oh. He was accused in I think it was August 2018 of abusing several young women. So even, you know, when children go to play sports and so, we have to talk to them about, you know, where particular persons can touch you because gymnastics is a contact sport. Football, contact, there are a lot of contact sports and we need to tell children, you know, the person can touch you here, they can touch your hands, they can touch, where else they can touch it? Public, that are uncovered, but they cannot touch you in your private parts. And I think one of the things that we need to teach children is to name and identify their private parts and who can or cannot touch those private parts. So that's all part of helping children become more aware. And helping parents, you know, parents, you need to call those private parts by their names as well and be comfortable in talking to children about their private parts. And we also talk about what people can do in terms of communicating their concerns, which is step 5, communicating their concerns, who they need to talk to, if it's at home, a mother, father, grandmother, or you know, another safe adult in the home. And when children speak, we need to listen to them, you know, believe what they tell us. Yeah. So in communicating our concerns, what are some ways we can communicate our concerns?
Well, if you really have proper, you know, good evidence, you need to first thing call the police or the Children's Protection Unit or Children Authority, and then report it to the church. You know, if it's a volunteer, you tell your parish priest. If you're not comfortable with that, as I said before, you can come directly to the Archbishop's office and report it, or send it. Some people don't like to identify themselves, so you can send it to that email address. And I just want to assure everyone that just one person have access to that email address. Okay.
And that email,
and it's very confidential.
Right. And that email address, if should abuse be taking place in the church that you are aware of, either by lay persons or clergy, deacons and priests, the email address that you can use is protectingchildren@abpos.org. That I'll say it again, protectingchildren@abpos.org. And someone will contact you and the family. So, you know, in the Virtus Protecting God's Children program, we look at a time to protect children, we look at a plan, and we look at the 5 steps of protecting children. Now, earlier you saw an advertisement advertising the Common Sense Parenting program. Common Sense Parenting gives parents those skills that they need to prevent and correct problems and teach children self-control, teach the adult how to stay controlled in reaching out to the child. So we're going to take a little break again and look at one of those clips for one of our upcoming parenting programs. Okay, so I'm getting the signal that we can continue because time is running out on us. So I just want to let you know the next Virtus Protecting God's Children program. Okay, so we're going to look at that program on common sense parenting and how you can find out a little bit more about keeping your children safe using the techniques of common sense parenting.
So some of the things, some of the skills I would have known from before, but there were some little things that I think kind of stood out for me, where we would have looked at looking at the child reasons again, understanding that positive words kind of help children to do what they need to do as opposed to the negative words that will shut them down. Actually doing the skills and seeing the benefits of it and seeing some of the things that you thought you kind of took for granted, I was happy when I saw some of those changes. So for me, this is a program that I will sell because I have seen the rewards in my own children.
So welcome back. We are Family Life, a Catholic Vision. I know that you would have seen our contact information scrolling across the screen. Our phone numbers are 299-1047. Our email address is familylife.commission@gmail.com. If you want to report cases of abuse that you may have evidence and you want to talk about share those, there's that private and confidential email at protectingchildren@abpos.org. All of that should be coming across your screen. To find out more about the programs that we offer at the Family Life Commission, you can Facebook us, you can Instagram us, we are on Twitter, and we also have a YouTube channel. So there are many avenues that you can reach out to us. If you want to hear more about what we do, what we offer, feel free to send us a message on WhatsApp, on email, from our Facebook page, Instagram. We want to hear from you. So during the break, we had a little chat about the difference between gossiping and showing concern, because in our Caribbean context it could get a little skewed. So Dinna, can you share a little bit about that with us?
Okay, so that if as an adult you see something or you suspect something, I would suggest that you first approach the child and have a dialogue with the child to find out what it is happening there. Or if you know the individual, the adult, and you feel you can approach the adult, say, I noticed so and so, maybe you need to be aware of what is happening, how it comes across, Before I mention that, you really need to document. So today is Saturday, you put the date, the time I had a conversation with whoever concerning what. You may never have to go back to that. It may be nothing. But, ongoing, you still continue to see certain things and keep documenting, because you have to prevent you're trying to prevent it from happening, right? So you probably may have a good friend, another catechist, somebody in the community, the parish community, or wherever in your workplace that you may want to mention it to, just to have a second opinion. But you need to know who you're going to, because it's very, very important that this remains confidential. Because, in our society, the slightest little thing, and it spreads, and then it gets added on, and, the story that started ended up being a movie after, okay? So I just wanted to bring that, to the fore, that you really need to be alert. And really, we have to avoid the gossip. There must be a difference between showing concern and gossiping.
And I'm happy that you shared that, because we need to keep we need to show children that we love them. So this program is not anti-love, but we need to show children within boundaries. And I remember when His Grace was talking about on the program with Derek, he was sharing that, that we need to continue, children need our love and attention, but we need to teach children boundaries, and that they can say no if something makes them feel uncomfortable, or that they can say, I don't like. We need to give children that kind of vocabulary to say, I don't like what you're doing to me, where you're touching me, could you not do that? And that's all part of helping children to keep themselves safe, because we wouldn't be around all the time. So we need to give them the skills that they need to do that. And the Common Sense Parenting Program, the children are given several other programs that we offer. The Common Sense Parenting Program is offered in collaboration with the Franciscan Institute through the sponsorship of Republic Bank. So I know in terms of keeping children safe, we have a couple more minutes. We wanted to talk about a particular acronym.
Yes. But before we do so, I'd like to add that sometimes we need to teach children how to follow their instincts, because right off the bat, they can tell if they're uncomfortable or if their mind is telling them, okay, get out, okay, move. We need to teach them to at least listen to those things, because that could keep them safe. I'm sure most people probably have questions about how do we know if our children are safe when interacting? So we have this acronym. It's called PAN, P-A-N, and it stands for Public, Appropriate, and Non-Sexual in Nature. This actually tells you how people interact with children in a safe way, and when they do touch, if that touch is deemed appropriate or inappropriate.
Okay. Yeah. Right, so we need to remember that acronym. PAN. PAN, Public, Appropriate, and Non-Sexual. So over the next couple of months, the Virtus program will be coming to a vicariate near you. We did South, we did East, we're going Central on February the 16th. If you're interested in that program, you need to contact us. Our information is scrolling across the screen. If you want to find out more information about the Virtus program before you make a decision to be a part of it, we ask you to contact us. Now, as a way, one way that the church is, praying, we'll be taking action through the prevention programs. So we are also praying with First Friday devotions, and which His Grace has asked that it be reinstated in this archdiocese. And soon it will be First Friday. We are encouraging you to pray for the victims, the victims who are in a lot of pain and a lot of, they're hurting a lot. We ask you to bring them. Pope Francis is asking that we bring the victims before. We also bring the abusers, because they too are hurting others. And in our church, we have to show mercy. So all part of the First Friday devotions. It started in November last year and continues until September. We invite families to go to Mass together, to pray the Rosary, to go before the Blessed Sacrament, and be a part of the change that you want to see happening in this archdiocese. We thank you for viewing, and God bless you. Thank you.